Welcome to Reflect, where the road is the backdrop. And the topic for today is, why are we here? Hey guys, so those who are new to the channel, thanks, welcome. I'm glad you're stopping by and checking out the videos. So I'm 57 years old. Now, I'm not as old as some of you that's chimed in, that I have some riders out there that are 90 plus, and that's amazing. I don't even know if I'll make it that long, honestly, but my goodness, if I could be riding at 90, I will take that any day. So I commend you, those who are older and still able to get out there and enjoy the freedom of riding. That's awesome. So being 57, and it's fitting that I'm riding around in a cemetery. I like to ride in cemeteries because there's no traffic, it's quiet, and it's a good backdrop for the topic of today. So why are we here? Why are these people that you see not here anymore? What is the point of this whole madness that we face? And this is the Reflect series that I'm going to start doing, because I like to ride and I like to reflect. And I think it goes hand in hand, especially when you are riding a motorbike. So I hope you enjoy this series. Not every one will be a Reflect video. I do exploration videos too, but I think the most fun I have is riding the bike. That's why I bought a motorbike, is to ride it, not get off the bike and go exploring, right? Although I like that. The whole point of buying a motorbike is to ride it. So I need to get back into that. And when I get out here and ride, I like to reflect. So being on the planet almost 6 decades, it sounds like a lot when I say it out loud. I tend to learn a few things. And let me tell you, I studied it all. I studied religion. I was an avid Christian for many years. Did all the stuff that Christians do. You know, I did all that, and then I wanted to learn more. For some reason, it wasn't fulfilling me anymore. Some of it didn't make sense, where other parts of religion did make sense. And I think it all comes from the heart, what you really believe in. So again, this is not an opinionated video. This is just me sharing knowledge. I leave my opinion out, so I'm not biased about anything. It's up to the individual to form their own opinions on anything in life, right? So I studied religion. Again, it wasn't fulfilling me enough. I needed more. It just opened up the door for more questions. I read something interesting online. I read that there's like up to 4,000 different forms of religion. Isn't that incredible? So what makes any one of those correct? You know, if there's 4,000, thousands and thousands of different religions, how do you know what's right or wrong? You don't. But most religions do agree that it's all about love, connection. So then I started learning about the general broad topic of spirituality. So spirituality is kind of, to me, a more free thinking type process, where you're not stuck to a doctrine or rules and rituals and dogma. You know, spirituality is just, to me, kind of an awareness, and you get to form your own opinion on most everything else. So I went down that path for many, many years. And I still read I still read into that stuff. And I still read into that stuff today, and I learn every single day. And I might have commented before, I was in the Navy for 8 years too, so I had a little stint of military service too. So those are some things I learned a lot when I was in the military, as far as my personal reflection on things. It really opens your eyes to a lot around the world, you know. Then I got deep into philosophy, where I started really reading philosophy books and all the men and women, the great thinkers of our time. Philosophy and the topic of that really interests me, because all these people kind of had the same deal going on. They wanted to explore the mind, right? They wanted to learn more. So a combination of all that over many decades, I seem to learn a lot. And it's up to the individual, I guess, to, like I said, form their own opinions on anything. But why are you here? Go ahead and answer the comment. I mean, I don't want to, this is not going to be an argumentative type video. This is just sharing information. And look, if you guys put a comment under the video here, please refrain from argument and judgmental stuff, because everybody has a right to their own opinion, okay? Just wanted to throw that out there. It's a free world and it's a free way of thinking. So no bickering, no, you know, religious quotes, none of that stuff. Just explain to me why you think you're here, and that's it. You don't have to really elaborate anymore unless you want to. But again, this is not about trying to prove points. It's not about, you know, posting scripture to try to prove a point. You know, we've all read those scriptures. It's up to the individual to really understand why you think you are here. And it's okay to talk about it on an open platform without judgment, right? And that's kind of why I like to do these reflect videos. It's just that, to have an open platform for discussion. Not only did I study those things, but when you're a husband and a father, you learn a lot too. When you have your own children, when you have your own spouse, those are some big challenges that you have to deal with sometime, especially when you have others depending on you, right? But these are all good things. Again, the stuff that has happened in my life, I don't regret any of it. And maybe we're here to learn these experiences. I don't know. Again, this is up to the individual to reflect on. Religion has all these stories and all this dogma attached to it. And for some of us, that's all we've grown up with. We don't know any different. So children that are brought into a religious background, you know, they don't know any better. And that's just kind of what they've learned. And so that they take that with them into adulthood, and then they teach their own kids the same thing. Some people are raised with parents that are more into spiritual stuff, not so much religious doctrine. So when they grow up, they have a much different approach to everything. So it's just, it all depends on what we learn as children and what our educators teach us, right? That's what it boils down to. Just simply knowledge. You know, we come into this world and we don't know a thing. Maybe it's designed that way, I don't know. So it's up to the parents, it's up to educators, and it's up to us to try to figure it all out, right? And sometimes that's not easy. And we wonder why things happen to us. And wars are fought because why? Well, it boils down to countries and lands that want the power and they want the control, and a lot of it is stemmed from beliefs. So I studied it all, and I'm a really deep thinker. What's the common quote? You should never talk about three things: religion, money, and what's the other one? Politics. Oh my God, yeah. Anytime somebody starts talking about politics, yeah, you might as well run the other way, because you're never gonna have a pleasant outcome. You know why? Politics, especially in America, is divided. It's all divided. There's one side versus the other side. Where you have in some countries a monarchy, you have like a king, and you don't have the different separation. But you know, that's another history lesson for another time. But America, you got Democrats and Republicans, and it's just a bunch of separation, divided country, and that's what makes it difficult. Are we here to bicker and cause war and all those things? You know, why are we here? And what happens when we die, right? It's always a question. And there's people that I've made a video a couple years ago on this, and I took it down because it stirred up a lot of comments that started to become negative. So I just took it down, and a lot of those I deleted. I didn't even let the public read those comments. They got filtered out. But people have very, very strong opinions about these type of things, like why we're here and what happens to us when we pass away. It's very sacred to people. So they don't like when somebody doesn't agree with their certain philosophy, and that's okay. But again, this is not about judgment or anything. What happens to us when we die is a personal belief, right? Everybody has their own opinions on that, and it all depends on how you were raised. Again, if you were raised Like with religion, religion paints the picture of what happens to us. If you were raised and you start studying spirituality, then there's another reflection on what happens when we die. So it's all, again, it's all about knowledge. Is there a right or wrong? I don't know. It's all up to the individual, I guess. Probably over a decade ago, I started listening to these NDEs, near-death experiences. Have any of you ever heard any of those or listened to them? There's thousands and thousands of testimonies on, like, YouTube, for instance. So I enjoy listening to NDEs. And the common theme with those is pretty much a standard theme that everything's positive. There might be 1 out of 500 where people have a bad experience when they pass away. These near-death experiences are when somebody physically dies and they all say they leave their body and see a tunnel of light and experience other loved ones and stuff like that. That's what near death, right? You pass away, but you're resuscitated again. There's countless and countless stories and testimonies of people that give their story when they come back, and it's pretty amazing stuff. But I like listening to those because what it does for me is it gives me a sense of everything will be okay. You know, it's all a positive thing. And whether you believe any of that or not, again, that's up to you guys. But I like to talk about it because I think it's real important. In order for us to be happy here in the present, you almost have to consider what's going to happen later, don't you? Some people don't worry about it. Honestly, I find that pretty amazing, where some people just go about their life here and, you know, they're like, you know what? I think what happens, and I think some of you have commented on that before. I remember when I did the video a couple years ago, like, this is it. We live this life, and once we pass away, nothing else exists anymore. That's a belief that a lot of people have. Where other people believe that, no, when we pass away, we just simply transition into the non-physical realm then, and we're off to do other things. Again, my opinion don't matter. Some people have trouble talking about that, and they start arguments and they start bickering and trying to prove points. But here's what I think's pretty comical about it. Why does anyone feel that they have to prove a point? Really? Why? Why do you care what this person thinks versus what you think versus what that person thinks? Does that make sense? I never understood the bickering there. It's like, hey, we can all get along, we can all be friends, we can all love each other, and we don't have to argue about what you believe in and what I don't believe in. Isn't that just how it should be? I don't know, maybe I just have way too much common sense, but I don't know why people have to bicker. And, you know, it's a form of judgment. If somebody doesn't believe in the same things another person believes in, well, that's judgment. So yeah, if you haven't checked out NDEs and you're kind of interested in this topic, I would suggest starting there and listen to some of the testimonials. It's pretty nice, pretty uplifting. It's all about, you know, getting uplifting information while we're here, right? I think that's important. So yeah, maybe life here has a deeper meaning. Maybe we're here not by accident, but maybe we're here because we're learning all of these valuable lessons and we take all those lessons with us. I don't know. Oh, then I got into, man, I tell you guys, I was into this deep. Then I got into stuff called channeling. Have you ever heard of channelers? So these are people, channeling is, if you've not heard of any of this stuff, I'm not sure where you've been on this planet, but this stuff is really popular if you have any interest in, like, spirituality or religion, or you've heard of channeling. And there's some major names out there that these channelers are. There's this older man, Lee Carroll, and he channeled an entity called Cryon. So Cryon is some entity that he explains is like from the magnetic field of the cosmos or something. This Cryon is all about working with the magnetic force of something. And he channels through Lee Carroll. Lee Carroll is a man, older man, that sits in a chair and communicates with Cryon, okay? And I know this sounds very trippy and stuff, but what I liked about it was the messages and the wisdom that I got from it, not the process, right? If you can take the process away and you're like, maybe this stuff is possible, and if you just listen to the messages, it's really never steered me wrong. I think people just can't get past understanding that that's a possibility, okay? But if you listen to the messages, maybe that'll change your mind. I don't know. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying that's what started me into the topic of channeling, is listening to the messages. I mean, you got entities like Cryon, like I said, Abraham Hicks, if you've never heard of her. Well, Abraham Hicks, Abraham is the entity that Esther Hicks channels. So his name, it's not a him, it's an entity, it's a group called Abraham. And Esther Hicks is the actual female that channels Abraham. And I think Abraham is a collection of people. It's not one person, right? It's a collection of spirits. So pretty trippy. And did you know Oprah Winfrey actually follows Abraham Hicks? You know, everybody thinks that Oprah is this wise, intelligent, you know, loving person. Well, where do you think Oprah Winfrey gets her information from? Abraham Hicks, right? I mean, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people out there that follow this stuff. But the wisdom that comes down from channeling is kind of what I enjoy, because I'm all into like philosophy and stuff. So it's really uplifting to hear some of them. And again, some people think it's hokey pokey. Whatever. It's all about the message to me. There's thousands upon thousands of people that can actually channel, okay? And it's quite amazing to me, really is. Because when I started listening to them, I have not found any controversy or conflicting stories between channelers. Every one of them talk about the same type of stuff, share the same type of wisdom. And it's really amazing when you start listening to the wisdom that they deliver. It really is. And where is that wisdom coming from? Well, the channelers say that wisdom's coming from the non-physical, the people, the entities, the people that maybe lived on Earth before and they've passed, and now they're sharing that information with others. Some of these entities never even lived a physical life on Earth, but they've been around millions of years. I mean, yeah, it gets really trippy, man. But you know, I just find it interesting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's stuff that I like to study, and people might think I'm crazy for it, but what can you do? What can you do? I enjoy it, and I think that everybody should just enjoy their lives here. And no matter what you like to study or follow, whether it is religion or it's spirituality or it's channeling, whatever, it's about enjoying your time here and treating people with respect and not harming people. And if you could do that following your gig there, that's what really matters. Because I think, and I'm going to leave my opinion out of it, but I really think that everybody needs to find what they enjoy to do. And one of the things that I enjoy to do is this: riding my bike. I'm getting older, again, almost 60 years old, so I can see the light at the end of the tunnel coming up, and some of you are a lot older than me, so I'm sure you know that feeling. But I ain't scared. I ain't scared one single solitary bit. I'm actually, if you want to know my opinion on it, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to moving on. Not that I want to yet. I have a lot to do yet here on this planet, but I'm not afraid at all. Not afraid one bit. I think, and I said I'd leave my opinion out of it, but let me just add that I really think that, to me, everything will be okay. And that's all I'll say about that. You can form your own opinions. But that keeps me waking up in the morning and like, you know what? Just knowing that everything will be okay in my eyes, it just helps me get through the day. Because we could have a complete opposite response to that. We could believe that we're all doomed, or nothing exists anymore, or whatever your beliefs are. Again, that's a personal choice. And some, I know you've commented before, I know who you are out there, you're perfectly content with that. And you know what? That's good. That's how it should be. No matter what our beliefs are, we should be content. So maybe we're here to learn, grow, connect, and love each other. I know it sounds hokey pokey, but maybe that's why we're here. Sometimes the answers aren't in these big mystical experiences, but, you know, more of everyday living. Like living fully, living kind, and just making the world a better place. I think that's our duty. Maybe it's not. Again, my opinion don't matter. So there's no single answer. And maybe that's the point. Why do you believe we're here? But again, I want to thank all the viewers for chiming in. I know this video is a little eccentric, a lot different than just an exploration video, but that's what the Reflect series is going to be about. And I think you guys might enjoy it because it really does get us brainstorming and it gets us thinking. And again, there's nothing wrong with having different beliefs. The next time you're out there and somebody forms an opinion on something and they say something that you don't agree with, try not to judge it. Just try to say, well, that's just their beliefs and they're okay to, and they're entitled to those beliefs, right? We all carry on regardless, and it doesn't really matter what others think, in my opinion. I don't care. I really don't care. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, a little bit different, but hey, it keeps us thinking, right? So stay tuned for more of these Reflect videos. I think I enjoy these a lot, where I just get on the bike and ride and talk about whatever's on my mind. So for all the new subscribers, thank you. We're growing. It just takes a long time, man. This is a part-time thing for me. I have a day job, as I say all the time. But I want to thank all the new subscribers for tuning in and leaving a thumbs up and stuff. So if you like these videos, just keep going, keep coming, and there'll be a lot more. So yeah, in the comments, go ahead and leave what you think about it. And again, no bickering. There's no judgment here for anybody. Just, it's okay to explore these things and talk about them. And I think more people need to do that, honestly, without getting all upset about it. So I just feel that my opinion don't matter, and I'm not going to share what I believe with any of this, but I study it all, and I've studied it all for decades and decades. And now I have my own opinions about life, and I think it's put me in a lot better place, like mentally, because I'm not worried at all. That's the only thing I'll say. So until next time, I'll talk at you later.